What is up, Design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fit Design TV. As always, so glad to have you guys back on the channel. On today's episode, I will be comparing and contrasting local manufacturing and overseas manufacturing, specifically within the context of a fashion brand. So you're a fashion entrepreneur and you're looking to create unique and original apparel. What manufacturing option should you go for? Well, the question is not should you, but what is going to be the better option all around? And yes, this is a little bit of a contextual question, but if you stick around to the end of this episode, I will give you guys the pros and cons of both local manufacturing. So if you're in the United States, this means producing in the United States, or overseas manufacturing, which most likely is going to be Eastern Asia. And obviously, as a fashion entrepreneur, you need to know what is the right option for you. So stick around, you guys are about to find out. Welcome to Fit Design TV. Are you interested in sports fashion, design, and manufacturing? Are you establishing your own brand? You're looking good. Anthony, how are we doing? Do you want to? Thank you. Well, you've come to the right place. Lights, camera, action. Let's get right into the episode, and I'm going to start off by covering local manufacturing. So this is if you're a US-based brand operating in the United States and you're manufacturing in the United States. This could be in markets like Los Angeles and New York. These are all great markets for actual local manufacturing, and you can have a ton of access to labor, a ton of access to fabrics, to trims, to hardware, all the things that you're going to need to be able to actually make your fashion brand happen. But what are the pros? So if you're going to go down this route, what are the pros? Well, number one is going to be your reduced lead times, because everything is local. From sampling to production to final delivery, you're going to find yourself being able to carry the time scale much faster. In my opinion, it's going to be approximately twice as fast as if you're going to go for overseas manufacturing, because you're eliminating a lot of that overseas shipping, whether it's with sea freight or with air freight, the import, basically kind of waiting for the garments to be imported into your country and then delivered to your warehouse. So yes, you do get a ton of faster lead time, which can be critical if you're a fashion brand that needs to launch immediately and quite frequently. Two is going to be you are going to have a easier time to improve and to implement quality control into your production line, because you're going to be going with a local manufacturing. You can just simply, even if you have to fly out, right? Let's just say you're in Philadelphia and need to fly out to Los Angeles. It's much easier and much simpler for you to fly out and see the factory in front of your face and be able to implement the quality control methods that you need so that you can get the correct final result that you need. This is a lot more difficult with overseas manufacturing, where you're going to have to take lengthy flights. You're going to have to go through visa processes, all to visit the manufacturer and then have to come back home to where you are. Three is going to be undoubtedly better communication. Everything in this world is communication. Anything that we need to get done, we need to communicate effectively. And definitely when it comes to local manufacturing, you have communication on your side. Not only because of a time zone perspective, right? For the most part, your manufacturers are going to be within 1 or 2 time zones maximum. Even if you're in the United States, if you're on New York and you're communicating with a manufacturer in Los Angeles, you're going to have maximum a 2-hour or 3-hour time difference. But communication is going to be key, and you're going to have a much better time at it communicating because you're using your own language, you have a similar time zone, and just in general, people are going to understand you much better. Now, let's flip the script and let's play devil's advocate for a second. What are the reasons that you might want to consider overseas manufacturing? What are the reasons that you might want to actually go and manufacture in China, in Taiwan, in Indonesia? Well, the number one reason is going to be reduced costs. And obviously, times are changing and the cost of labor, even in these countries, is getting increasingly larger and larger. But you are going to be able to save a ton of money when it comes to the cost of production, especially when going overseas. So this is one of the major benefits that a lot of brands benefit from when going for overseas production, as opposed to their local production. Just the cost of living in these countries is much lower. The cost to hire, the minimum wage is much lower. And in general, this is something that you as a fashion brand can benefit from, of course, within an ethical frame. Two is that you are confidently tapping into a market with a much larger workforce that is specifically primed towards your type of production. If you look at markets like China, a lot of their workforce have been in production and labor for years, right? Even for generations. They are primed for the kind of work that you need them to do, which is going to be extremely beneficial as you scale your business. You're going to be able to get more workers to be able to scale your production, and you're going to be able to avoid unnecessary delays. You'll be able to create more units with better quality control, just because of the availability of the workforce in the market. Number 3 is, and you might be surprised by this, but overseas production typically gives you access to better technology. This might come as a surprise, especially if you're operating in the United States. Of course, when it comes to manufacturing, the United States is going to have a ton of high-end and cutting-edge technology. But when it comes to garment manufacturing, you need to look at markets that have been and have specialized in garment manufacturing for a long time. These are going to be markets like China, where their factories are primed, they're equipped, they're ready to handle the workflow. They have the highest end machinery, from everything to do with your seam work, everything to do with fabric access, everything to do with their local logistics network. Anything that they need in order to finish your garment at the highest level possible is available to them, and their logistics network is primed for this. The United States, sure, you will be able to create high-end quality garments, but the logistics network is less primed for this type of manufacturing, and anything that you need to do is going to cost you more, and you actually may not even have availability of certain technologies that you might have availability to in China. So in conclusion, which of the two options should you select? Well, it all comes down to what you value as a fashion brand. If you value having a locally made product that you can proudly present as being locally made, if you value a longer or shorter lead times, if you value building and having a stronger sense of communication with the manufacturers that you're working with, then perhaps local manufacturing is going to be the way to go. On the flip side, if you value having a more cost-efficient process, having access to better technologies, having access to maybe even better methods of quality control, then perhaps overseas manufacturing, where those factories are more primed to give you the customization that you need, to give you the faster lead times that you need, in a sense, to give you the better quality control that you need, might be the right way to go. It all comes down to your specific use case scenario. Guys, let me know which of these two options you personally prefer, and if you actually have done production before, whether it's local or overseas, what has been the better experience for you personally. Guys, as always, thank you from the very bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.